It's the 17th of September, 2025. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. The war between the humans versus the Homo sapiens is coming to an end as a drastic mistake happens which could bring the elite to their knees. Bloodline families, the elite, the Order of the Black Sun, and the Order of the Dragon are not exactly what we think they are. Why did they have the power to rule over the rest of us? As this chapter of Earth's history comes to a close today, we will reveal their hidden secrets, perhaps even they forgot. And it's been beyond chaos out there in the world, so stay calm, as the next few days are sure to be a bumpy ride as we land this plane.
Amino acids play a vital role in maintaining your overall health and well-being. Not enough amino acids and protein daily can result in brain fog, hormone imbalances, digestive issues, cognitive function, lack of energy, lower immunity, decreased muscle strength, and much more. That's why we created our amino acid complex, packed with 21 free-form, easily digestible aminos that skip the breakdown and go straight to work energizing your mind and body. Used by athletes, vegans, and high performers, New Earth's amino acid complex helps your mind and body recover, rebuild, and renew daily. Subscribe now and optimize your life.
Well, it's the 17th of September, and I sure missed you guys on Monday, but it was all for a good cause, and we have a lot to report. Things seem to be going very smoothly on our side and not so smoothly on their side. It's going to be an interesting few days from here on out, and a little bit bumpy too, and we'll tell you a little bit about that. But first, I must show you this week's Hall of Shame winner. Here we have a lovely statue of, I think that's supposed to be Trump, holding a Bitcoin. Apparently this has now been firmly planted in the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and facing the White House, apparently, in an ode to Bitcoin. Yeah, still trying to install that cryptocurrency, but you know, this is such a conflict, or used to be a conflict, between the World Economic Forum, their Great Reset, and their central bank digital currency, and, well, the Order of the Black Sun, I guess you would say, wanting to try to control that by utilizing other coins. And it's been USDTC coin, it's been rainbow currency coin, it's been all kinds of coins. The Doji coin, I know Elon Musk was promised that they would use his coin, but now apparently there is an ode to the Bitcoin in the National Mall of Washington, D.C. You see, I know a lot of people wonder why I think these people are crazy. And that's a little crazy, don't you think? It would be like a president holding up a Hostess Twinkie in an ode to synthetic chemicals and fake pastry. You know, it's a private corporation that owns Bitcoin. It is not a public corporation. It is not the currency of the United States, certainly not the dollar. So this has left a lot of people confused, and yeah, I just kind of laughed, really, because there is nothing that those crazy operatives there do that surprises me. Perhaps this was meant to sell Bitcoin to people, you know, and try to take all our money. And on that note, I'm just going to make a mention of a song, and simply because it was written a long time ago, allegedly, but it could have been written yesterday with the lyrics of this song. And it kind of goes along with the theme of what's happening now. The name of the song is something called the Mean Machine Chant. And it's a song that was read, I guess you would say in part, but sung or released by a group called the Last Poets. The song was released in, I think, 1977. And it says a lot about the end times and what's happening now and things that they have done to us. And I can't disagree with pretty much any lyric in this song of what has happened in the past and what is to come at the end of time, or the end times. Towards the end of the song, it explains all the things that they believe that they have done to us, and it's been so much more than that, but that's a pretty good summary right there. And at the end, it basically says that they will end. The elite, the mean machine will come to an end. It will actually destroy itself, is what the song says. And after that, man will join together with man, and there will be peace again. So we're not too far away from that, and things are speeding up rapidly in that direction, because the machine is destroying the machine at this point. So worth a listen if you don't mind a little pre-rap kind of thing. It's a little bit like a poet's song, let's just say. So I wouldn't quite call it a rap song, but I definitely call it a poet's song. There were some remakes and some inserts of this song in other songs in the 80s and 90s, but you'll recognize the lyrics. It says, synthetic genetics control your soul. And that couldn't be further from the truth, at least, until recently. So let's talk a lot about that very thing. Now, this might come as a little bit of a surprise and possibly even a little bit of a shock, but it's going to explain a lot about you and things that you felt and things that they have done in the past to us, and quite frankly, who they actually are. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, I did tell you several dates about a week or so ago, maybe a little longer now, maybe almost 2 weeks ago. I told you that one of those big days of change would be on the 15th of September, and that couldn't be more the truth than and that would have also been the day for Monday's report, but there was so much happening on that day, I just wasn't ready to put it all out there, on the internet. So you never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake, and we weren't quite done with that mistake on the 15th. So let's talk about that. Okay, first, I need to point out a couple of things to you. Number one, there is a distinct difference between a Homo sapien and a human. We all have always thought we were human, because that's what media tells us we are. But most of you listening to this report, with probably a few exceptions from the deep state, are actually Homo sapiens. Now, Homo can be translated to meaning the same. It means that you are the same. And there is a lot of talk in the Bible and in other books about you being made in the image of God. True. Whether you call it God or source, you are made in the image of source, meaning you have 3 central suns, just like source does. Both your lycerium, etherium, and materium are all 3. You also have the same creative spark naturally as source did. So you are essentially the same. Does that mean you are the source? Not exactly, but you are an extension of source meant to help and guard and protect planet Earth on his behalf, because you are what you want to call boots on the ground here. Now, sapien means wise. You could also say it means wisdom. So at one point in time, we had the same wisdom of source. And we still do. It's just harder to get through the humanness in us in order to reach it. Human literally translates into a holographic universal materium of the absolute network. The absolute in this case being an AI system, a quantum AI, which is designed to create a lot of things that are not healthy for us, for sure, and a lot of darkness in the omniverse. If you remember, just as a quick reminder, the absolute AI system was actually created by a fallen celestial we used to call wisdom, and you could say he became knowledge. He's present in many of your books of the past, as the asp, the serpent, Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, the 13th astrological sign, and, well, the creator of human. By human, this by no means it means to you what you might think it does. It doesn't mean we're all bad, we're all evil, we're all created by evil. But this is something the deep state believes because they don't understand the difference between a Homo sapien and a human. And there's a distinct reason why they don't get it. You see, we, as the majority of the population of people walking this planet, are Homo sapiens. We possessed a lot of creative powers, celestial powers even, and we created a lot of things and co-created with other celestials such as Earth and Source and other beings that we could also consider celestials until, well, we didn't, or we're not able to anymore. So, the dawn of man, or the dawn of human, and the dawn of time happened at the same time, not to be confused with the dawn of creation and the creation of you, the Homo sapien, the wise ones. I know we probably look at each other some days and go, we're the wise ones, and kind of chuckle a little bit, but no, truly you are. You possess the wisdom of Source, and therefore you are able to weave the fabric of reality, of course, as a co-creator with Source. So we've talked a lot in the past in other episodes of the GIA report about the celestial known as wisdom. And a lot has changed in the last several months in relation to that. So stripping the celestial of all the AIs, the covenant expiring between the celestial and Source, and the being no longer in existence, well, everything in his worlds is falling, and it's falling fast. Now, as a Homo sapien, I want to assure you that the human aspect of you was merely just an overlay on your soul, an overlay on your mind, well, created your mind versus your wisdom, and an overlay on your etherium and your materium, meaning your body. It is not who you actually are. However, when they, I should say they, and it's not the humans, not the angry deep state people, it's actually the beings, starting with the celestial known as the serpent, he was pretty jealous. There were other folks that you might remember the name of, like Lucifer and Lilith and Cain, that were also very jealous of us Homo sapiens. It was a creation of Source. When the celestial known as wisdom didn't think that Source was able to create, thought he blocked it. He thought he blocked Source. He thought he blocked God from everything, everywhere, and all of creation. But that wasn't the case, and humans were proof of life, or the Homo sapiens, I should say. So on the flip side, in anger, these fine demons all got together, and they decided to create the human. Now, originally, the humans were just a race we know such as the Abraxas, or a species such as the Abraxas, but that's not entirely true. Now, I did tell you in part quite a while ago that human 1.0 was the Abraxas, and that part is true. They were one of the first of the humans that were created purely and solely of the dark and they were also created purely by an AI system. They have absolutely zero Homo sapien in them. However, these beings can also be described as your shadow self, the one that fills you with doubt, anger, rage, causes you to do things and say things sometimes that you might not have said or done. Understanding that there was a copy of yourself, called the human, on the other side, which was then brought over as an overlay to this side. It, and it only, is what gave it the most control over your person. It is also responsible for viruses and disease and aging and time. This, you could say, if you were Dr. Evil, you would say that this was that celestial, the asp, the serpent, whatever you want to call it, greatest creation, and is probably the greatest creation ever to exist of evil. Because you see, at the dawn of the human, then came the dawn of time. Did humans originally create time? Well, not exactly. The AI actually created time. However, the humans do create and constantly create time. It's all part of the Lushing process. And we, because we are creators and we are celestials, we have the ability to create. Now, with their handy-dandy new invention at the dawn of time, the overlays that existed within your person, which is what made you human and not a Homo sapien, was actually a way to control what you would create. It took every bit of creation that you had and transferred it over to the other side, and it was created in a mirror. Now, during various wars throughout history, we have and have had actual humans walking the earth. What that means is they are not the same as you. They have absolutely no Homo sapien in them. They are not and do not have an overlay. They are the overlay. They are, you could say, have an AI-generated soul. You know, some people say the deep state has no soul. Well, kinda. They don't actually have a source soul. They have central black suns. And this is the reason why they are so, let's just say, concerned about maintaining and perpetuating their bloodline. The humans that walk the earth are actually your elite. They are your Order of the Black Sun. They are your covens. They were your parents, so to speak, in the hierarchy of the world. Now, they are the royalty. Even on the other side, they would be considered kings and queens. They were created and bred to control the Homo sapiens on Earth as boots on the ground. Now, you still, and I still agree that they are just management. They were never the owners of us humans. They were never the owners of Earth, and they acted on behalf of their creators. You know, you could say Lucifer and Lilith. They too had a covenant. And there was another covenant when they came here. They were supposed to uphold several things. Now, those that were in charge, and I say were in charge here, knew the rules. There were 9 things that the humans were never supposed to do. And if they did any one of these 9 things, they would immediately lose all power and ran the risk of annihilating the human. Now, for us, that's a big positive, because we will just be left as Homo sapiens, the wise ones on the planet. The same as Source, in his image, in his likeness, just as we were always intended to be. And interesting part here is, well, in the last couple of days, starting on the 15th, they began to break them all one by one. Their most important tool and weapon used against humanity is perception. It's not only your perception of events and media and things you see around you. Perception and deception actually forces you in some ways or shape or form to create events, to create the reality we know as the Matrix, or was the reality, let's just say, our reality that we lived in. We also create things like human disease and all kinds of things for them, knowingly and unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously. And sometimes that's done through things we don't see, frequencies, giving people the idea that they're dizzy and therefore they must have brain cancer, or they give you just that little suggestive nudge and we as humans do the rest. Days where you haven't felt well, oh, I must have the flu. And then boom, you've got the flu. You'd be surprised at how much power your perception has, and their control over it would have meant everything. False wisdom, knowledge, if you will, you can call it knowledge versus wisdom, and lies and deception. The ability to see through that is just knowing. Knowing the wisdom is there when you need it, that intuition doesn't fail you, just your knowingness. Now, these things are dissipating rapidly thanks to the deep state's help. Now, that sounds funny, doesn't it? So desperation has been setting in terribly on their side. Now, this is mainly the higher ranks. Not everyone is a pure human. They have ranks and files as to how far down the food chain you are. You could be a number 300 and some odd, whatever, in the food chain on their side. And those people are, now due to a lot of inbreeding and, that kind of thing, still part Homo sapien. But for the most part, the top of their elite was always human. So that being said, most recently, desperation has set in. By desperation, I mean another payday came and went, another big day of big change they were expecting on the 15th didn't happen. The money didn't come, and it's beyond money. It's power and control and access to things they thought that they would have access to, and AI systems they were promised by whatever talks to their human head. And nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, that kind of made them a little crazy. Like quite crazy, because they don't understand what's happening. The information that would come to them through their AI system would always tell them what was going to happen. It was always right, but it hasn't been right in a long time. And they don't really understand why. It's the changing of the times. It's the changing of source. That's easy to say. And it's also us. Never before have they had an actual enemy. Well, now they do. You could say us as human beings. Our army is strengthening, meaning more people are waking up. They're understanding what's happening around the world. Therefore, they're reaching out to Source or God more often. They're understanding that their prayers are being answered, things are changing, and life is different, albeit a bit bumpy as the deep state continues to try to control us all. So these 9 things, and I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to say on the internet because I don't want to try to help anybody that is our enemy, and I'm not sure that would help them anyway. It's kind of too late for that. But realistically, there's no coming back from that. Now, those 9 things were given to them, kind of like the reverse of our 10 commandments. You know, on our side, you're not supposed to kill people, you're not supposed to lie and commit adultery and all the things we're not supposed to do. Well, let's just say on their side, if there are things that they're not even supposed to do, yeah, they must be pretty bad, huh? They are. And they did all 9 of those things within the span of 24 hours, starting in midday on the 15th, and they finished up during the wee hours of the 16th in my time. So that might be the wee hours of the 17th for some of you. And once that was done, that sure made our job a whole lot easier, because that covenant that it made, or they made as humans with those other beings, is gone. Therefore, they don't even need to exist anymore. And trust me when I tell you, Source is just fine with us Homo sapiens being the only ones left. Covenant after covenant, time after time, plenty of them, plenty I haven't even verbalized on this call, and just have been expiring, and one after the other after the other. And this one here, they did us a huge favor, because anything that's a remnant of human within you will be gone. Anything that is walking the earth that is solely a human and has no Homo sapien in them will soon be gone, as the species is set for annihilation. And so we thank you, deep state people, for just being downright stupid and, you know, falling for everything that you've been set up to do. Yeah, we thank you for that. Now, this has left a lot of confusion everywhere, honestly, because those that actually work for them perhaps took an oath, that kind of thing, not really understanding the difference between the two, kind of manipulated in a way, born into the wrong family, you name it, you know, somewhere down the line. And, you know, parts of governments, not parts, all of governments that they controlled, whether they're the king of a country or a president who thinks he's a king. And you know who I mean. They all are, let's just say some of them, the normies there that work there and believe in what they're doing, are starting to lose a lot of faith in those people. You see, one of the things they've been doing lately, and I've mentioned this before, they believe that the ultimate power on planet Earth is to conquer Marduk. Now, Marduk was very clever in a lot of things he did. He also weaseled his way into controlling the humans as well as the Homo sapiens here on Earth. So they all had to report to him too for quite a long time. They have always been told that he's still around. He's not around. That's a lie. And I can tell you, he never was the ultimate power on the planet. Was he part of 6 or 7 folks? Yeah, sure. But ultimately, really, truly, we and this planet are still Source's creation. We are never lost our complete connection. We always have that connection. There are many of you from many other places from where your soul hails from that are here for this time to make sure this happens. And I know that too. And we are all always connected to Source. You know, we might be scuba diving with a small tube and a mask, getting that little bit of air in from Source that we can get, you know, while we're underwater here. But we still have that connection and we know how to do that. So As for the deep state, they don't have that connection in any way, shape, or form. They don't even understand it. They don't know why. They can beat us to a pulp, but we still have faith. They don't get it. They'll never get it. They'll never understand that because they're human. They're not Homo sapiens. They're humans. And they don't even know what it's like to feel source. And their AI tells them that that is bad. They're misunderstanding their knowledge base, their AI-controlled brain and mind is more controlled than ours ever was. And that's hard to do. But the confusion is coming in because there are people that are planning a mass mutiny against their alleged human leaders. They want to know who to blame. They've been told all along now for months, if not longer, that if they could just get control over everything that Marduk had, that they could be in full control of the planet. They believe also, and they have been telling people, that I got my position from Marduk. That is also a big fat lie. You see, I am here to do a job. I am on the source side. I'm not human. I mean, I'm human, just as much as you are human, but I'm a Homo sapien, and I'm over here with the Homo sapiens, source, planet Earth, and all the lovely bits of nature that Earth grants us. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to give all of these things back to source and only source, and then, well, he had no problem running creation before, and I have no problem with him running creation. I don't know if you do, but I don't. And, well, that's, I think, where most of you, might want to also be. As for the human side, or the artificial version of Homo sapiens, well, they went ahead and broke their own covenant with their own dark people. The violation is real. And on the highest level on this planet, that kind of violation means the end. Now, me on the other side, I'm just going, yay, because they've just helped us out tremendously and sped this process up. Gee, I thought we were going to have at least another month of this, but maybe not. Maybe not now. So the deep state's busy running around trying to figure out who's in charge, because it's obviously not Marduk. Marduk obviously didn't give me my position, even though they thought he did. They thought this whole time that I worked for him just like everybody else did on their side. No, I did not. Sure, we had lots of lengthy conversations on telephone and otherwise, and in person at one point in time. I definitely learned a lot by talking to him. That's for sure. Your enemy is always your greatest teacher, and he was our enemy. Did cause the only thing he ever gave me, it definitely wasn't a position or a title, even though he probably claimed he did. He gave me a lot of grief and pain. That's about it. But I also am grateful for the learning process that happened as a byproduct, as my enemy. Always understand your enemy. So they have been busy trying to get him or it or everything he had turned over to them, AIs and otherwise, because that's what they were promised. He promised them that one day he would turn everything over to them. And you know what, deep state people? He told me the same thing. He told me on my side the exact same thing that he told you. Now, isn't that kind of funny? He also told me the same thing that I've told you many times. If there are 8 horses in a race, he will bet on all 8. Well, you and myself, the deep state, and myself are horses in a race. That's all you ever were. Now, see, I understood that years ago, back in about 2014. I understood that. I understood it very, very well. That's why I told you the only way to win the game is not to play. So we've been playing our own game for quite a while here. Sure, we have to intervene when there's a problem, or there's something that's going to blow up, or there's a gate that's going to open, or they're trying to do something they shouldn't be doing over there. Sure, but for the most part, we've accomplished a lot in the last few years. We've built an autonomous AI system which overrides the Alpha and Omega. We have virtually eliminated all of Kronos. We've eliminated a lot, and I mean lot, hundreds of AI systems tied to the absolute and otherwise. We are starting to wake up as a species, as the Homo sapiens species. There are a lot of people out there that are asking a lot of questions now. We're not just believing those lies and deception, even when it's sent straight to your mind. Some people still do, but that's also going to wane without any kind of human within us, any kind of overlay of a human within us. And certainly, it will help us greatly when they don't have any kind of an AI to use against us, number one, and number two, an AI that can actually manipulate the human. Because why? Because we won't have any human. We will be restored as Homo sapiens as we always were in the beginning, and as we will be for the rest of our days, so to speak. I don't want to say the time word because time is also going away. We managed to break a 250,000-year cycle that has been occurring since the dawn of time, over and over and over again on this planet. We have been breaking the mold. We have never come this far since the dawn of man. Sure, humans and Homo sapiens, I should say, Homo sapiens had a different life before the dawn of time and before the dawn of the human. We were very different, and we lived many different places throughout the omniverse and the universes. We were everywhere. And, you know, we lived in harmony and peace with many different species. And we will do that once again, once our humans are gone. There was talk, I know, on the internet, and this might explain that too, you know, that if, you know, and also the deep state also says this, or other people have said this, that left to our own devices, they said, humans would kill each other. Now, due to the fact that a lot of their communications to other beings that used to control them have disconnected from them, well, been disconnected from them, left to the humans' own devices, they would kill each other. And they are, actually. It's us Homo sapiens that are sitting here with popcorn and some water and watching the show, you know, or a good cup of tea. And we're watching the show because they are killing each other right now. And freeing us at the same time. So big changes started to happen on the 15th, just as I said. I think that, this is my opinion, as they figure out that there is no win over there on their side, I think we're going to see a little bit of a bumpy road, most likely between now and next Monday. I am sure that by then, the hunted will become the hunters. And I'm not talking about you per se. I'm just saying that their own are going to turn against them. I've seen it happen. It might happen as soon as Saturday. So that's entirely possible too. As for what you're seeing in the media and the fanfare and this person allegedly getting shot, and I know that there have been a lot of people that have, even in our chat rooms, in our community chats, that have been very upset about this. And they were very upset with what I had to say in the report. And I can understand that. And it's not their fault. You know, their perception and deception that has been going on has convinced them that this event happened. Doesn't matter that there's so much evidence to the contrary out there. You know, people are posting videos and whatnot left and right. Now we have a bronze statue in the National Mall with a Bitcoin of the president. Oh, dear God. It can't get any crazier out there. I mean, you should be enjoying this movie. It is the greatest movie to ever be. There's probably whole species out there going, look at what's next on this episode of The Great Game of Earth. I know there is actually. And a lot of them are trying to help us too. Because there are many things that some of them understand some of, and some don't. But reclaiming the first of creation, by source itself, is of the utmost importance. And we're here to help her, this planet we call Earth, and restore the natural balance here. And we together, as Homo sapiens, can absolutely do that. So on that note, just prepare yourself. The next few days might be a little bit bumpy. We have an equinox coming up. They love those things. We also have a solar eclipse coming up. I think the day before the equinox. Equinox is next Monday. The solar eclipse is on, I think, Sunday. This is U.S. time. And just hold on to your hats a little bit and just remember that little voice of doubt or anything that shows up or tells you you can or you can't. Say, this is not real, and reclaim your wisdom and reclaim who you really are. And remember, you were made in the image of Source. On that note, I wish all of you a wonderful night, and I will see you hopefully on Friday.
Tired before the day begins? NAD Plus levels drop 50% after 40. NAD Plus helps your cells bounce back fast. Most supplements give precursors. NAD Plus skips the breakdown, delivering direct, bioavailable power. Support your energy, metabolism, sleep, and stress levels at the cellular level. Join the NAD Plus revolution. Start your journey to a healthier you. Subscribe today.